Right. Hey everyone. Hi. So I thought I would share with you what has kind of become this bedtime ritual for me. Um, a way to take care of my lymphatic system, nervous system, gets into the glands a little bit, organs a little bit, as well as just a little muscular skeletal work around the jaw. Um, I find that particularly lately, uh, as soon as that like quieting that comes with going to bed and lying still, I find that kind of kicks up my anxiety. And this sequence is something I've been doing that's been really helpful to settle it down and allow for some really deep sleep and like it happens fast. Um, so I thought I would share it. It evolved out of some work that I was doing with a physical therapist, and then starting to bring in some work with movement therapy training and some yoga work as well, coming from Kundalini yoga. So it's kind of become this fusion, and I thought I'd share it. So here we go. Typically, it is done completely lying down. Um, like I find that as soon as I complete it, like I'm asleep. So I do recommend doing that lying down. As I talk it through and demonstrate it here today, I'm going to stay upright so it's a little easier to see, and I won't go full out so I don't like pass out at the end of the video. Okay? So it starts with working on the lymph system, and there are four parts to the movement that we're doing. We're going to start right below the sternum, right, and little taps like cotton ball, like you're dabbing a cotton ball, right below the sternum, and then little circles here. Okay, and then from those circles we go to taps, and then we drag upwards, so up towards the heart, and you'll bump into the sternum right at the top there, okay? So taking that, same pattern, we'll move that to our neck, all right? So little cotton ball taps, and then little circles, light massage here, and then tap, and then dragging down towards the heart. Sorry, I hit the mic. Dragging down, okay? Then we take that same pattern behind our ears, little light taps, cotton ball, and then a little massage, and then a little tap, and then we drag down. We're going towards the heart with this. One more with this pattern. This one also feels a little bit like EFT if anyone's done any of that tapping work. We'll take it to the cheeks. So very light, cotton ball, little dabs, and then we circle, and then we tap, and then we drag down towards the heart. All right. And typically with all of these, I do like 8 to 16 count for each one, each of the four, as I go through those. All right, next moving on to the nervous system. So taking your thumbs, finding the backs of the ears right behind the lobes and into the back of the jaw. And moving our thumbs down with a pressure that feels okay for you. I find with this, the more I do it with the sequence, the more like nuance I get with it, for what works for me and what kind of adjustments to make as well in order to like really reap the maximum benefit. So see if you can tune in and notice if there's a slight adjustment in placement or pressure, if that really helps. All right, and then from the back here, we're going to the neck. And coming down and tucking behind your collarbone, okay? And acknowledging there is a lot of important stuff that's happening in our neck. So finding, again, the pathway that seems to kind of induce a settling sensation for you. We'll take that on either side. And it's pretty close to following the muscle that pops out there too. Sometimes I find I might just like mosey on over and focus on the muscle a little bit on my own. And if you want to explore, you're welcome to do so gently, do so mindfully, as always. Right. And then the last stop here is going to be on the left side of the ribs. We are again going down. I find it's easier to go with the opposite arm. And sometimes my knuckle, this one's a little rough to do sitting upright. I find when I'm lying down, I'm able to release a little bit more. Right, so taking a few passes down here. Take care of the nervous system. All right, so next moving on to liver. So this one started as something that I was doing with physical therapy to release out the liver. There's a lot of blocking, a lot of holding. Liver's on our right side, kind of this big wrap that's happening, right? Pretty massive as it comes across. And just thinking about the climate that we have right now, and knowing that I personally have had like a lot of really sympathetic energy, a lot of anxiety, a lot of frustration. Um, that kind of like anger can be kept in the liver if we look at that kind of emotional connection to our organs. And so I've been releasing this out. And so I'm pressing down, and I do 50 of these total, okay? I'll let you count to 50 on your own. So maybe pause the video as you do that, all right? And it's fairly steady pace. And again, I find that there's a certain place where the pressure lines up just right for me, where I'm like, ooh, that's telling me something. It's giving me some feedback of like that's the right spot to be releasing in. So you take 50 of those on your own. Take deep breaths with that one, okay? Next one that I do, this is coming from, no, this one's also nervous system. So if I'm lying down, pretend my head's on a pillow or on the bed or something. Hands are stacked on top of each other behind my head. Focus, my head position stays forward. My eyes look to the right, and I'll take 3 deep breaths here, really slow. So each breath is about 10 seconds long. You could take this up to 6 long, deep breaths. I find that 3 is kind of the sweet spot for me. And then if you happen to yawn or swallow or anything like happens when you're doing that, reset and start over. Okay. And then you'll do the same thing on the other side. Switch which hand is on top. Focus goes left. Position of the head is still forward. All right. And then 3 deep breaths, each one about 10 seconds long. If you want to get up to 6, go for it. And again, I find 3 is about the right count for me, about 30 seconds. After doing that, taking the arms down, and at this point, like I find myself really starting to feel like I'm starting to dip into that sleep state. And so I then have my eyes closed, and I'll go for a third eye gaze. And so this is Kundalini Yoga coming from that practice. So with your eyes closed, it kind of feels like you're crossing your eyes and you're gazing right here. You're looking at your third eye with your eyeballs, yeah. All right. And so depending on what kind of stress we've had on the eyes today, what kind of strain, I find that it always kind of changes a little bit. And you can hold it for an amount of time that feels okay for you. Okay. This is one that I also find I have to build up to a little bit because sometimes it can be like a lot going on. So be mindful of that and adjust accordingly. All right, and then the last movement focus thing that I do is releasing my jaw. I hold so much tension right here. And this is a practice coming from Peter Levine's work. And you are opening the jaw just until you feel some tension, and then you close the jaw again. Right? And then you slowly, slowly open the jaw back up, and then close again. All right, so looks something like this. Trying to open up just until I feel some resistance. And then I'll slowly close. It's hard to describe as you do it. And then I'll go again until I feel that there's a release. So slowly open. And return. Right, so take a few of those, see if it can help release this out. And then the very last thing I do is I use an eye mask just to like really shut out all of the light and let my eyes rest, especially with the amount of screen time that a lot of us are currently experiencing. I'm finding that that's more and more necessary to really like shut down. And if you don't have an eye mask, you can also go for a palming technique. So that is taking the palms over the eyes and take a little peek behind your palms. See if there's any light getting in. Adjust so that absolutely no light gets in. So it's complete darkness behind the palms, allowing the eyes to rest. And you can hang up there as long as it feels comfortable for you. Right? So I hope that maybe you're asleep right now. I don't know. Um, but that helps to settle in and allow for some deep rest in the evening, all right? Or in the middle of the day, whenever you need to sleep. Cool? All right. Take care of yourself.